Well, welcome to theCUBE. I'm John Furrier, host with Paul Nashawaty, analyst of theCUBE Research. We are here for the keynote analysis for Nutanix NEXT. This is their industry conference where they showcase their momentum and all the new announcements. We are on the stage. Paul, great to see you.
John, great to be here.
Just finished the keynote. The hall just cleared out. We got used to the stage here. Here, the CEO and the team really showcasing probably something that Nutanix hasn't seen in all of their lifetime is a plethora of AWS-like announcement stream. They had so many announcements, buzzing ecosystem, technology architecture that speaks to the AI native wave, while supporting and ratifying that cloud native is the standard substrate that all this app dev, conversion, the AI native developers, and this new agentic infrastructure is going to come together. This is a big theme. What's your take out of the gate?
John, there is so much that they announced during this show so far. The keynote had more than 6 press releases that came out of it. But let's talk about Nutanix, like the evolution of Nutanix, right? The storage and compute unified this HCI, it is so far from what just an HCI company. They used to be this proprietary HCI product. Now they have so many storage partners right now with the likes of NetApp and Everpure and Dell and such. So the cloud and on-prem unified with NC2 was really a big thing. Also the database administration converging with infrastructure was also a big announcement. So lots happening in that space, but to your point, the AI piece, that was an area, the merging together of VMs and containers and how that all works.
You know, this is really kind of a industry moment. This year has been pretty fantastic. We've been seeing the AI infrastructure, the CapEx, we've been reporting that. We've been seeing the surge in developers on the open source side, on cloud native and now AI native. But this keynote to me, Paul, wasn't about features, it was about the company declaring a position in the AI infrastructure stack. They're moving, Nutanix is moving from a cloud platform vendor to an AI operating model company. And they said on stage, the CEO, Rajiv, said, we are the operating model for AI factories. And that is a systems game. That isn't just, hey, we have some cool virtualization replacement. They presented an architecture, a system. They are declaring an infrastructure stack for AI.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Nutanix Enterprise AI Cloud Native by default is really the standard. That they want one platform, one experience was the key takeaway, right? But like, a lot of this has to do with their acquisition of D2iQ, right? And so now NKP is really that standardized platform for cloud native anywhere. It's really the canonical partnership drives in the delivery of it. And then the cloud native data plane is really a big piece of it as well. So you're right, the architecture is there, the fundamental pieces are there, but it all drives towards that one experience.
I just wrote a post on SiliconANGLE over the weekend, the $100 billion bet. This is about the AI infrastructure. And you know, my thesis was AI won't be won by models or chips alone. It's going to be won by whoever controls how AI is built, governed, and operating in hybrid environments. And that's pretty much ratified again here. I'm sure we're going to have other keynotes. But this brings up what's under the hood, because simplicity is a key goal, because when you look at the architecture, what NVIDIA has done on the AI side as they move up the stack, there's a lot of stuff going on under the covers. What's going on with the company, and what do they have, and what do they kind of partner and integrate with in the ecosystem? What's your analysis?
Well, John, I mean, I think it comes down to a lot of what I talk about in my practice, which is that past, present, and future state, right? When we look at what Nutanix is really driving towards is providing a unified platform to manage both VMs and containers under one umbrella, right? And really having that differentiated approach to manage the VMs and VMs containers as containers is a big kind of focus area too. Cloud native and Kubernetes AI capabilities integrated by default. That's part of the AI approach, right? They want to make sure that they're getting things set up for future states. But they're also not leaving the bridge in the gap between the heritage environments and the new stuff as well. So that really kind of goes into that zero digital touch operations. Self-service model was key too, right? In the lines of businesses deploy, that was a big factor as well.
You know, Nutanix was on theCUBE in 2010, our first year. Raj, the founder, and that was the HCI, hyper-converged infrastructure. And by the way, people were poo-pooing it at that time. Okay, that's data center. So in comes the next wave, cloud first, hybrid cloud, multi-cloud / super cloud, which is our word. We saw that multi-cloud substrate, but now you have the AI factory, and then you have the operating model, and this becomes a very interesting point. With AI factories, they're running on hybrid distributed computing, which is essentially cloud native. And so AI is not just a workload, it's infused into a production system. We're seeing that consistent with this AI infrastructure, again, built on cloud native. So what is that control plane? How does someone control that AI governance, pipelining, all those things?
Yeah, I think, John, I think it really comes down to a lot of the key core announcements. If you look at NCI and NC2 architecture, that's like the infrastructure that allows for that expandability in the back end. Then if you look at the data services, you have NDS, right? That's part of for files, and NDB for databases, as well as Nutanix objects. All of this kind of plays into their PaaS and their AI kind of strategy with NKP, right? So if you bring this together with data-centric metrics and really enterprise AI kind of approaches, gives that model as a service in the AI gateway, where you were kind of alluding to that at the beginning of the conversation, but management becomes a single point of management across the entire stack. That's where I think that simplicity comes in, frictionless comes in, and ease of use comes in. One of the things I do want to add is, in our research, we see that 67% of organizations are hiring generalists over specialists. This is exactly the approach that they're moving towards.
And you're seeing how AI is being used as a new tool. It's like curation, it's how the human creativity, the craft is back. So the generalists are actually in a more of a kind of a horizontal position. Totally love that research. But the thing that I'm trying to get my hands on, I'd love to get your reaction, is the problem that they solve. Okay, you got some simplicity. I heard the word shadow AI, which we've been saying a lot on theCUBE actually. And shadow AI is the new shadow IT, as Rajiv, the CEO, said. This is an undertone, but a key point in the keynote. And we're seeing things like, I have my notes here, teams spinning up AI tools externally, data leaving controlled environments, no governance, no cost visibility, no security guarantees. Sound familiar? Shadow IT 2.0 on steroids.
Sure it is,
I mean, it makes shadow IT look like elementary school. What is your view on this? Because they think that they have an answer for this.
Well, they do, actually, and it comes with this acquisition strategy. So what we see is governance, regulations, and compliance is key, right? You know, NKP, the former NTP, right, was launched 18 months ago, right? This was part of that D2iQ acquisition. The market is seeing this as going in the same direction, right? So governance, compliance, and regulation is coming into play. In 2 years, tracking at over 300% of targets. That's a huge adoption. And that's where the market is taking it. So they see this as strong market conditions. Market polls are really consolidating container management and migrating from other solutions. So that's really what's happening.
Yeah, and I think the quiet layer in the keynote, I want to get your reaction, is the architecture. They spent a lot of time up front talking about the architecture. It's clearly cloud native foundation, Kubernetes and containers. Their entire strategy is built on containers, Kubernetes, and cloud native primitives. And their message, modernize now or you won't be able to operationalize AI. What is this tied to? Can you give me your take on, this isn't just modernization cliche, it's modernize now imperative or you can't operationalize AI.
Yeah, it's really pivoting from the monolithic, hey, we have an HCI solution, to really a cloud native PaaS, AI enabled, like hybrid, multi-cloud approach, right? And also this goes to their other tag that they would say in the show here, in the keynote, which is run apps from anywhere, right? From on-prem to cloud. He's using NKP and Google Cloud, for example. That was another partnership that was in the ecosystem. And then there's also the upcoming capabilities. They're talking about multi-tenancy across the stack, VMs, containers, storage, AI services, all tying it together, right? That piece is really a big factor. So I think what this is, the technology in the roadmap for the future vision of where they're going is really laying out the frictionless approach to bring those AI factories together.
I just wrote a post called The Great Replatforming Starts Now on SiliconANGLE. If you're watching, check it out. But to your point, it ties directly to this legacy virtualization displacement. VMware is being displaced. They might not want to admit it, but the data will show. If you look at their public filings, you'll see that the revenue's not growing, okay? Obviously they have installed base. The platform Convergence for AI is VMs still in certain situations, not going to get completely thrown out. There'll be pockets of VMs. It won't be the thing. So VMs, containers, and AI, it's not a modernization project anymore. It's the price of entry for AI. I mean, this seems to be the big play. I mean, the elephant in the room is legacy virtualization displacement is happening.
Well, I'm looking forward to reading your report. I also want to give a plug to my report. I have this pivot of inference-centric utility. That's really what was coming out of this AI infrastructure kind of approach. It's really about giving that paradigm shift, so it's like more about training dominance, right? And also inference-centric, so you understand what's going on, but controlling your token costs as well. So I think that's a big factor.
I think it's notable to point out to the folks watching, my research report was from an AI infrastructure perspective. What was interesting is that your report is coming from the other direction. So if you look at your research and what I'm putting out there, you have that convergence of cloud native and all the AI goodness being built out underneath with the app dev, cloud native stack, tying it together.
Yep.
This is a core, this is not really a well-told story, Paul. Explain your thoughts on this, because this is actually happening. You're seeing it here, you're seeing it at every conference, that convergence.
Oh, for sure. I mean, the idea around accelerated application growth, the infrastructure has to be invisible, right? And that used to be their tagline from years ago, but the infrastructure does have to be invisible. And if it's not, that self-service model, the lines of businesses creating applications, that all has to be done with governance, control, and compliance. If you're not doing it, you're going to run into issues. So I think that you're right. I think that the information that we're putting out is an interesting story, and tying it together and pulling it all together from both the business logic side as well as the infrastructure side.
Well, the builders, the operators, and the investors have an interest in what we just talked about, that convergence, that as those two worlds come together and link up, I think there's going to be a massive amount of wealth creation and enablement from that, certainly will accelerate. I want to talk about the control plane. I said on theCUBE multiple times, and many times, and really over the top in some cases, that there cannot be one owner of the control plane, because you need a Switzerland.
Yeah.
Well, I heard today on the keynote, Switzerland. I heard NVIDIA and AMD partnerships.
Yeah.
That you can't get any closer than calling out those two companies, because that shows me neutrality and operational optionality, meaning Nutanix is kind of saying, they didn't say Switzerland, they're saying we don't want one silicon dependency. We want to have flexibility across workloads, and they're really targeting that buyer. So they're looking like they're signaling that they have that neutral. Now they're also Cisco, Dell, AWS, Microsoft, Accenture, HPE, Lenovo, Tata. That's just the top partners. Then they had like hundreds of other companies.
Yes.
This is platform validation, and I want you to speak to this, because we have not yet seen this. And it's been that moment we've been waiting for, is who will be able to have that horizontal control plane?
Yeah, I think that there's a lot that has to do with moving from an HPC silo to shared AI utility, right? That's really where it's kind of going to come in convergence. You're going to see a lot of use of agents and MCP servers, allowing for that, meeting the client where they are in their own journey, and whatever pane of glass they're looking at, that's when you're going to have that information being shared too.
I want to talk about product strategy, because I know you're digging deep in this in your practice. Nutanix on Keynote is basically saying the stack is complete. It's a bold claim, it's worth analyzing. Paul, what does that complete actually mean? What do they cover? Is it a full stack control plane for hybrid and AI? Give us your analysis, and where are they good and where they need to work on?
Well, look, I mean, Nutanix is providing everything that they can to give you a model layer infrastructure, right? They want to provide that AI cloud stack from a hardware up perspective and models out, right? So they want to have the hardware layer, they've removed the complexity and the topologies around everything, including NVIDIA being brought into it. Data and storage plane being a high performance path for NVIDIA, GPU Direct, for example. And then also the orchestration layer with NKP, right? Having Kubernetes Platform as a control plane and apps across it. All of this allows for that self-service model we were just talking about, but it provides that model layer to emphasize on deployable SLMs and LLMs. It's really for the enterprise price performance targets and frontier scale models. That's really where it's heading towards. So are they there yet 100%? Probably not. Do people buy the vision? I do. I think they're going in the right direction.
I mean, it hangs. I think the story hangs. That's why I wanted to point out the Switzerland piece. But let's get into the reality. Enterprises have to deploy and migrate, and you can't migrate when you have data gravity. Governance, if you nail the governance and security, table stakes, I get that. Well, we saw at GTC the role of storage has changed. Here, external storage support was a major highlight for them. It's a strategic move. Dell PowerFlex, Everpure, formerly Pure Storage. I don't know why they changed the name, but flash array, well, that's a whole nother topic. This signals us an important thing, because you got to nail the data gravity, Paul. And we're seeing this not just here. Every platform in the AI era is dealing with storage differently. 100%.
100%. I mean, this started last year at last year's Nutanix NEXT. Talk about NC2, NCI, right? NC2 allowing for that distributed HCI solutions where you can have storage from different architectures, whether it's Dell PowerEdge or Everstore. or
Everpure.
Everpure, sorry, Everpure. I lost it, but Everpure, and then you have now NetApp. Right?
Everpure was formerly Pure, and then formerly Pure Storage. So it went from Pure Storage, Pure to Everpure.
Right. but even NetApp being on the screen, that was surprising. I was seeing NetApp on there. I never would have thought a few years ago we would have saw NetApp and Nutanix on the same slide. So the storage piece is important. NC2 is really a big part of that, and NCI is helping with that.
I think the storage piece really, to me, shows the shift, the transition that we've crossed the threshold, because now that storage is getting closer into these tightly coupled operating systems or subsystems, if you will. It shows, to me, proof.
Yeah, I will say that that again is an emphasis of bridging the gap between heritage and siloed environments to more of a monolithic approach. So like you have this ability to utilize your encapsulated heritage environment, and build new systems of engagement to access those. That's what they do in the container piece with the VMs, or the container piece with the heritage storage.
Let's wrap up by going into kind of what actually happened here that's new, what's not new. You mentioned we've both been covering Nutanix since the beginning, so we've seen the evolution. So I'll give you my first take. To me, what's actually new here is that the AI Factory framing as an operating model was the first I've heard of that. That's new information that they're publicly declaring, intentionally saying, we're the operating model for AI Factory, so that's key. Shadow AI is a first-class enterprise problem. Again, that's new for them. Unified governance narrative across AI, somewhat new, but they had specifics. But to me, the strong ecosystem is definitely new. They had other ecosystems, but now it's kind of expanding. What wasn't new, that's more evolutionary, is hybrid cloud positioning, Kubernetes as a foundation, and the platform consolidation story, whether it's VMware or other things. So that to me is that we've heard that before, but now they've up-leveled it. AI Factory, what's your take on kind of what's new and what's...
John, you touched on a lot of the ones that I was thinking about. One is hybrid approach is essential, right? That is definitely, it's not new, but it's something that they definitely want to expand. They expand their storage footprint, they expand their VMware, they expand their VM containers and container workloads. So that's a big piece. Open source and multi-cloud neutrality is a big factor. That's new. That's something that NKP is based on upstream Kubernetes. It really enables that cluster management across the on-prem as well as bare metal. Bare metal Kubernetes is new, right? That's a new one. AI as a next frontier. You touched on this a little bit already. Yeah. And then also the competitive shifts to hyperscalers. That's different. That's different because while Red Hat remains to be a competitor or co-opetition, right? I still think the greater challenge that came out of this was from the hyperscalers, AWS and Google, offering on-prem Kubernetes, EKS, and GKE anywhere. It often avoids vendor lock-in, right? So that's another piece.
I think having the hyperscales in there is a huge deal because it highlights what they want. They have shared incentives. The hyperscales want more agents. NVIDIA wants more agents. More agents eat tokens. Tokens is what feeds the beast, as I say. If Nutanix can manage the agent sprawl, I think they're going to win big because there's a shared effort to have more agents. And that is the #1 thing that's causing all the shadow AI, which is, hey, this dude throw some agents out there, and this agent's got malware built in. I mean, agents are great on one hand, but if you don't have any kind of control on them, you're screwed, basically. So if they could nail that, Paul, with the Switzerland and the ecosystem.
This is exactly what Kelsey Hightower was talking about in the session earlier today. He was talking about that, making sure that you're doing things for the right reasons, and you nailed it. That's exactly what he was saying.
Well, we'll see how they own the developer experience. Nutanix is out there, they got their partners, they've certainly got open source. Those three things, to me, look like they're looking good off the tee, to use the golf metaphor, middle of the fairway, whatever you want to say. They're playing with the architecture, they got partners, and open source is a tailwind for the developers. Any thoughts on that?
No, I think you're right. I think that's exactly what we're seeing.
All right, well, that's theCUBE here on stage at Nutanix NEXT. I'm John Furrier with Paul Nashawaty. That is theCUBE's keynote analysis, of course. Check out siliconangle.com, thecube.net, and thecuberesearch.com. We have tons of reports in this area. It's the most important shift in our generation we've seen, and there's a lot more going to come with AI native applications and the AI native infrastructure connecting in the cloud native standards. We're doing our part to bring that to you. Thanks for watching.